I'd like to call to order the special meeting of Municipal Council on July 22nd, 2019. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
Here.
Council Magno.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Hannon.
Present.
Harrison.
Present.
McLean.
Here.
Mowry.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
All 9 members are present. This is a special meeting of council for a couple items that are on our agenda. A, to approve the minutes of the public hearing of American Natural Retail, PA LLC. Second item is to consider an act of Allegheny grant resolution. Third is application number 2019-0248, American Natural Retail, PA LLC, Cool Springs rezoning. Application number 2019-0247, American Natural Retail, PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive subdivision. And item application 3, or item D, I guess, application number 2019-0348, American Natural Retail, PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive development. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for public comment. I know we have a lot of people signed up. We usually leave the first part for non-agenda items, but if you would like me to read the names and you could come up and speak, we do have a 3-minute limit. And at the end of 2 minutes, I'll signify and ask you can kind of conclude your comments. We have a clock over here. I'm not sure everybody can read it, but I will follow the 3-minute limit. So at this time, I would like to do Teresa Larson. If you could come up and state your name and address, and you could spell your last name, please, everybody, because we have a stenographer doing minutes of the meeting, and the 3 minutes won't actually start until you spell your last name.
Whoops. Teresa Larson, Larson. I live at 1510 Hamilton Road, 7 houses up from the Cool Springs driveway. And at this point, the traffic is so difficult to back out of my driveway that I've been having to turn around in my driveway. I have a 2-car driveway, do a 3-point turn in my driveway just so I can get out at this point. People go 50 miles an hour down Hamilton Road, even when the school sign is on, and there's very little patrol because it's at the far end of Bethel Park, and it's a lot of speeders and a lot of traffic already at this point. And if a gas station is put in, it'll probably double that. So I'm opposed to that.
Thank you very much. Is it Jim Gallagher?
Yes. Oh, you dropped your glass case.
Jim Gallagher, 4329 Hamilton Road. I kind of agree exactly what the previous individual said. I live on Hamilton Road, and in order to get out of my driveway, I have to back out. I'm closer to the Baptist Road end of it. And essentially, like she had said, the traffic is atrocious. You would not believe sometimes in the morning what it takes to get out of your driveway, and at night, it's sometimes you wait 5, even possibly 10 minutes. The traffic sometimes backs up all the way from Baptist and Hamilton Road, all the way back past the other entrance further down Hamilton to get into Cool Springs, which consequently then forces the people behind them to cut through where those homes are. The traffic is just ridiculous. And, you know, and everybody's concerned. Now, you've got a gas station going in. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of lighting. How is that going to affect the homes that are probably in close proximity of it? It's just, as far as we're concerned, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare for us. That's about it for me.
Thank you. Emily Bussey?
Emily Bussey, BUSSE 2005 Cool Springs Drive. I am just going to read something. I am opposed to the rezoning of the gas station for all of the reasons that you will hear throughout the following comments. Treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And I think when we look at the way technology is moving and the expectations of vehicles in the future, how our children and grandchildren will be commuting and living in their communities, a gas station is certainly something that we don't need when there's already 6. Actually driving here, drove by Cool Springs, noticed a beautiful garden and a school and a church on the left-hand side, noticed the Cool Springs Athletic Facility, and noticed the assisted living Sheridan facility, the homes, again, traveling down, more gardens and green space. And I quickly came to a Get-Go and a gas station that is already there. Continued on, and I saw another gas station before I got to this, and that's just in a couple-mile drive from that Cool Springs location. So I am opposed to it, and I hope that the council is as well.
Thank you very much. Paul McKenzie?
Paul McKenzie, 3546 Ridgeway Drive, Bethel Park, McKenzie. I live on Ridgeway Drive. Down at the one end is Sheets. Up at the other end, they want to build this new gas station. At night, all you hear is the cars and the kids hanging out at Sheets, racing up and down Hillside Lane, turf in Millennium Park. It's going to be the same coming out of this gas station, except they'll be turfing the other side of Millennium Park. Also, I don't think they should even consider this because you built all of that other equipment, the sporting, the restaurants, the miniature golf, the housing, the nursing home, all under the conservatorship. It's all done. Now you want to change the rules and turn it into a commercial. It's not right to do that to all those people. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Kushner? How you doing?
Joe Kushner, Kushner, no relation. I'm not a resident of Bethel Park. I'm here in support of some friends. They're right on Cool Springs Drive. I don't know all the ins and outs, but what I hear is that my friends and other people just bought brand new houses, and all of a sudden, a Sheets is going to go up in, less than an arm's baseball throw. It doesn't seem right. I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen, particularly if I bought a new house. And that's all. I just wanted to say I'm in support of everything they said, and yeah, it shouldn't happen.
Thank you very much. Mary Ellen Knight?
Mary Knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, 3538 Ridgeway Drive, and I am opposed to the gas station being built for all the reasons that everybody else said. And in addition, it's just the whole area seems like it's now turning into a concrete jungle. And, we don't need another gas station. There's, a bunch on 88. We have the Sheets, right by Millennium Park. It's just overkill, and I'm opposed to it.
Thank you. Jeremy Kaler?
I'm Jeremy Kaler. I am at 504th Avenue in the city. I work for PCG Capital.
Can you spell?
Oh, I'm sorry, Kaylor.
Thank you.
I work for PCG Capital. We're one of the owners of Cool Springs. When we first engaged and bought the property, it was burnout, and we had this vision for what it could be and bringing this great asset to this community. evaluated lots of different options. We took in no public money in order to make this happen. And we think American Natural would be a great asset to the community. The product that they have, we think could really serve the area well, would be a great complement to already the retail plaza that has restaurants and barbershops and whatever as part of it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I apologize, is it Sean? Last name starts with a T? Yeah. I apologize in advance. You're going to have to spell this one, please.
My name's Sean Tomaszewski, Tomaszewski. I live at 2035 Millennium Court. I want to thank the municipality generally for adding the no parking signs up and down Millennium Drive to prevent some of the parking that was happening outside of Spoonwood. We really appreciate that. In that vein, though, traffic is really horrendous already getting into and out of our plan. And I'm just concerned that adding yet another retail destination, a gas station, would exacerbate traffic problems even more than they already are. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher Fox? Okay. Kathy Giesler?
Kathy Gessler, Gesler, 4333 Hamilton Road. I am definitely opposed to the gas station being put in. When we were Cold Springs was first bought, we were told there would be batting cages, deck hockey, baseball fields, walking trails. They wanted Cold Springs to be the Kennywood of the sports world. As you can see, we now have assisted living homes, strip malls, and now they want to put in a gas station. There is nothing about Cold Springs that says it's for the community. I don't know about you, but I don't believe any of these people here have a gas station directly across the street from their houses. Why would anybody want a gas station that you can walk across the street and go to a gas station from their home and have that done? I believe it's 2.5 acres they want turned into commercial property. So that's just 2.5 acres. But if you can do that, then 6 months he's going to put something else in that's going to take more commercial property and more commercial property. And soon Cold Springs will be nothing but a commercialized property. And they want a long-term lease. They're not owning the property. So therefore, at long time looking into this, he could take all that commercial property and put in UPC a hospital or another mall or a car dealership. It could become absolutely anything. We have 10 gas stations within a mile radius of Cold Springs. We don't need another gas station. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Moralski?
Hi, Chris Morawski, Murawski. Just to piggyback off of what Kathy was saying, I wish I actually would have had recorded our first neighborhood meeting with Brian when he bought Cold Springs. As she had said, he stood there and stated that he could remember as a small child going to Cold Springs, going mini golf. He wanted future generations to have that. We all know very well, somebody mentioned how they didn't put, and they're not putting any money into this out of the company or whatever. We all know that Brian has enough money to buy half of Pittsburgh. So it's not even money. It's gone into something that he has said that he wants to give back, and he's doing these really good things.
If I could ask you to stick to the item and the rezoning, please, and not make it
It is for the rezoning. The
not
point.
Make it a personal. You have 1 minute left.
My
minute
point.
left.
My point is now we're hearing about the gas station, okay, which could lead to something else because there's a whole trust issue. And Kathy's saying that, right, we're going to get this little section rezoned. It's going to cause additional traffic, and I know we've said about, the cars will already stop there, but now we have delivery trucks, we have gas tanker trucks coming in, so it is a lot more noise, a lot more pollution. All of those lights, it just keeps adding to it.
Thank you.
Could you give us your address, please?
4401 Hamilton.
Thank you.
Chuck Wegzinger. I'll blame your handwriting.
My name is Chuck Weisenegger, W-A-Z-E-N-E-G-G-E-R, 5690 Kofler Drive. First, let me begin by quoting a Miss Feinstein, who's a representative of the people that we are opposing. And I read and I quote, American Natural pursues developments in locations that would benefit the neighborhood community by providing alternate fueling and eating options that are not traditionally provided by other retailers, says Ms. Feinstein. Well, she isn't familiar with the area, obviously, because as a previous speaker noted, there are already 10 gas stations within a 2-mile radius, and there are 25 restaurants currently within a 2-mile radius. It is not a safe occupancy, as a number of people have stated. It would be across the road from a personal care home and a church. It would be on the same premises as a personal care home and 25 residential properties. It's still too close to the residential properties on Hamilton, and it's within a quarter of a mile of a elementary school. So naturally, these are all valid reasons to oppose this particular rezoning, and as other speakers have said, once it's rezoned, God only knows what we could expect in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Be very careful of the cord, please. Okay, Kevin Hershock. Millennium Court. Okay, hearing none. Debbie Viewli, V-I-E-W-L-I. Yeah, okay. Just so you know, the DeMar Drive issue is going to be discussed in the caucus room after this meeting. How's that? Thank you. Rosemary Costanza.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary Costanzo. That's C-O-S-T-A-N-Z-O, and I live at 2017 Cool Springs Drive. Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk to you as a neighbor. Imagine that your parents, your children, or your family or friends had recently moved into the Cool Springs condos or the Sheraton or Paramount facilities. Would you willingly subject them to what we in the opposition of this proposed gas station are now facing? Neighbors shouldn't put each other at additional risk, and we feel that this proposed gas station will do exactly that, put us at additional risk. The health concerns related to the proposed commercial rezoning have been laid out. These concerns will affect the residents of Cool Springs Drive, the children and adults who use the Cool Springs Sports Complex in Millennium Park, as well as the students who attend Lincoln Elementary. Remember that the Sheraton and Paramount facilities house vulnerable elderly who have multiple health and respiratory conditions. The addition of the increased air pollutants to our living environment will have a serious negative effect on all of us. It has been pointed out that this proposed gas station will bring additional traffic and serious safety concerns. Cool Springs Drive is narrow and is already being used as a cut-through by many who are not residents and who drive too fast. People use this side street of ours in order to avoid the light at Baptist and Hamilton or to get to the Steel Cactus or the sports complex. We are already having trouble backing out of our driveways. There are safety issues for walkers and for adults, teenagers, and children who use the sports complex. The anticipated very significant increase in traffic will only magnify the current bad traffic situation on Cool Springs Drive. The increased traffic to the gas station, Food Mart, by automobiles and large fuel trucks delivering gasoline and food products will increase the noise level in the neighborhood. A noisy neighborhood is no mere nuisance. It can be a major health hazard. Cars and commercial bustle can disturb sleep, create stress and hearing problems, contribute to cardiovascular disease, and impact cognitive development in children.
Can I ask you to conclude your comments, please?
Pardon me?
Could you conclude your comments?
Okay, sure.
Please, thank you.
My husband and I are completely opposed to the proposed commercial rezoning in this residential neighborhood. I trust that the Bethel Park Municipal Council will act as good neighbors and vote no on the proposed commercial rezoning to put a gas station Food Mart on Cool Springs Drive. A toxic business in a residential neighborhood is certainly not in the best interest of the residents whom you represent. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Vincenzo. Vincenzo Tian. Vincenzo. Ivory Hill Lane. Hearing none. Jacqueline, 3960 Ivy Hill Lane.
Good evening. Thank you for your time and attention. I live at, my name is Jacqueline Tehan. I live at 3460 Ivy Hill Lane. I'm here tonight. Rosemary Costanzo is my mother. My parents just moved in. Also, my daughter was a former employee of Tudor Time. This gas station sits in a very unique place because you have opposite ends of the spectrum. Tudor Time takes in children, infants, as young as 6 months old. The Sheridan will have the other spectrum of the age range with a mature population. No matter what safeguards you put into place, nothing is foolproof. Should the vessels that hold the petroleum seep into the ground, the drinking water can be contaminated. It would be very terrible to have a mother who's nervous to send her newborn child to a daycare center, then discover that the child's drinking water at Tudor Time became contaminated, and possibly the child suffers homeopathic disease. Yes, it's an extreme situation, but council members, how would you feel if you played a role? I'm just saying it's a possibility. Also tonight, before the meeting, we decided to have a family dinner, and we contributed to the business in Bethel Park. As a family, we walked to Steel Cactus, which is a great benefit of living in a community with things around it. Walking back, there was a young person, probably going to the facilities at Cool Springs, who came barreling around the curve and nearly ran myself over. This is only going to be exemplified with the more traffic from the gas station. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is it Stephanie Tehan? Okay, Mark Bondi? Okay, Bill Cook? Ralph Armstrong?
Just here for moral support.
Mary Ellen Mackin?
No comment.
Peg Lautsinger? I knew I messed that up. I apologize.
Peg
Say that for the record. Thank you.
It's a mouthful. It's Loutzenhiser. I live at 2039 Cool Springs Drive. I agree with everything everyone has already said, but my major concern is, and I think that you have to take this into consideration, on Cool Springs Drive alone, you have all the venues on one side of the street. The parking is on the opposite side of the street. So all children going to summer camps, day camps, golf camps, soccer camps, whatever they are, must cross that street directly in front of where the sports complex is. Also, you have the catering, Che Anthony. You have the parking on one side of the street, the venue on the other side of the street. You have hundreds of people crossing Cool Springs Drive, which is a nightmare already. Someone is going to be injured seriously, I'm sure, and let's hope it's not a child. Thank you.
Thank you. Lou, I won't even begin. 2039 Cool.
I agree with everything everybody has said.
Thank you. Mary Leak. Gary Glosick.
Gary Gleckel, Gloeckl, 5700 Villa Haven Drive. I'm sure I'm going to be in the minority here. I actually support the putting in more of a restaurant than a gas station. I know that people have made some fine comments, but I'm familiar with these stations, what they look like, what they bring, and I look forward to being able to have a safe, clean, convenient place to buy some light groceries, some food, and fill up some gas. Thank you.
John Ackerman.
John Ackerman, 2013 Cool Springs Drive, ACKERMANN.
Thank you.
Been a resident of Bethel Park for many years, actually 20 in total. My wife and I have really enjoyed our stay so far at Cool Springs. It's a nice community. We're getting to know our neighbors, and we like the fact that it is a residential community. I certainly agree with all the comments about traffic and environmental concerns. The gentleman who spoke earlier about he thinks it's a great idea. I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys approve this to go from residential to commercial, my home's going to be for sale, and I'd be glad to sell it to the guy that thinks it's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve? Is it Stephen? Last name starts with a B.
Longley, no comment.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on any item we have on the agenda? If you come up and state your name and address for the record, and we have a 3-minute limit, at the end of 2 minutes, we'll signify what has to conclude.
My name is Diane Lynn, Lynne. I live at 2015 Cool Springs Drive. I am new to Pennsylvania. I moved here May 1st into a brand new house that I thought was a residential area. And now I find out there's a gas station. So I have 2 questions. Would you move there if you had children? I have grandchildren that come over and visit me every week. I don't want a gas station near my home. The other part I have here is from a fellow resident, Sandra DeLuca, Deluca. She lives at 2041 Cool Springs Drive. And she writes, as a resident of Cool Springs Drive, I've sent 2 written responses, April 2019 and June 2019, in opposition to the rezoning application of American Natural Resources to construct a gas station complex literally in the heart of our development on the Cool Springs campus. I've delineated my objections in both letters to primarily oppose the project for 3 reasons: traffic, safety, environmental concerns, and of course the loss of green space to an industry incompatible with the character of this development. This is a total lack of fairness and transparency to the residents of this development, which I have to agree with. I refer you to reread my responses to refresh your memory that many residents of Cool Springs did not move in until recently, that me being one, and 3 units, there are still 3 units that are closest to the construction site, merely yards away, are still under construction. She attended the June 24th meeting and was shocked to hear a proponent, a pastor of a nearby church, disclosing a large meeting with applications and residents opposed to the first application, who now gave their blessing, I don't know if that's true or not, to the new location. Cool Springs Villa residents once again were not invited and therefore did not participate in the meeting. I can assure you that our opposition is near unanimous. While we are a group small in number, we are residents most directly affected by this and those closest to the project. This project is merely yards away from the last units, and a gas station is totally incompatible with the character of our neighborhood. As someone pointed out at the meeting, the Sheridan 2 is hardly confined to be labeled a commercial enterprise. It's a residence.
Could I ask you to conclude your comments, please?
So with that, she says, we ask the city to oppose this project. We thank you for your consideration and thoughtful review of the matter.
Thank you. You can state your name and address.
Jean Enright, 2019 Cool Springs Drive. Do you have the spelling of my name? Enright.
Thank you.
As a nurse, I have particular concern for the health effects, negative health effects of a gas station in our neighborhood. Numerous states have adopted setback regulations of 300 to 400 feet between gas stations and homes, schools, and parks because of the health risks related to toxic vapor exposure. The Sheridan is 150 feet away from this proposed gas station. Our homes and Millennium Park are 300 to 400 feet away from this proposed gas station. Too close, way too close. Accidental spills from a typical gas station are estimated at 40 gallons annually. These fugitive vapors and pollution from increased traffic, from idling cars and trucks, harm the health of people residing near a gas station and in high traffic areas. Numerous studies, along with the EPA and the CDC, confirm a causal relationship between benzene exposure and cancer. Residents with a gas station in their neighborhood have poorer pregnancy outcomes, increased lung, bladder, and blood cancers, a higher incidence of leukemia in their children, and increased sickness and death in those with asthma, with other lung and cardiovascular disease. Vapors accumulate in low-lying wetland areas, such as the one at the end of the Cool Springs driving range. These increased concentrations put residents, people working in the area, and children at an even greater risk. Please vote no. When I was here on June 24th, a representative of American Natural Gas told me, as the gentleman referred to in an article he was reading, you know, what a really nice facility they had built up in Cranberry, and how if we could only see it, that we would change our mind about having this in our neighborhood. So I went up there and took some pictures. It's not surprising to me that the proposed gas station is on a 2.5 acre plot, because this was at least a 2.5 acre plot on the site that I saw in Cranberry. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's toxic.
Could I ask you to conclude your comments, please?
Yes, I will. I do have the picture that I brought, and anybody who would like to see it, I have it with me here. If you'd like to see what this 2.5 acre gas station is going to look like.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Barb Bussey, BUSSE, 2005 Cool Springs Drive. Mr. Maury, I would like to use my full 3 minutes. Thank you. The comprehensive plan for the municipality of Bethel Park defines the Cool Springs area as a neighborhood mixed-use development, a mix of housing types, limited impact home businesses, and small neighborhood service centers. It states we have a limited transportation network, with traffic mostly being residential. In the current plan, I also found these goals: to avoid commercial development on minor roads, to preserve home values, preserve the residential character of neighborhoods by discouraging strip-type commercial developments. I believe none of these will be accomplished if rezoning occurs. This proposal seems consistent with the classic definition of spot zoning. Spot zoning is singling out a small parcel of land for a use classification totally different from that of the surrounding area, for the benefit of the owner of the property and to the detriment of other owners. In the American Natural Retail proposal file, a response on May 10, 2019 from Kay Pierce, Planning Director with the Division of Allegheny County Planning and Economic Development, states all of the following. This rezoning is not generally consistent with the comprehensive plan, so the plan should be amended concurrently to maintain consistency.
As with any zoning, it cannot be approved with the condition that the site be developed for a particular use. C2 district allows a wide range of uses. Is that what the municipality intends? She also noted that the transportation network may be a particular concern. End of her comments. Sheridan is commercially zoned C2, and in our zoning code under conditional uses, it seems some of the residential zoning designations would have applied. But nonetheless, American Natural Retail uses this C2 zoning precedent as a way to support their proposal. Nonetheless, unlike the gas station, the Sheridan is a land use that is still consistent with our neighborhood mixed-use definition. Rezoning sets a dangerous precedent, paving the way for commercial creep in a residential area. C2 zoning allows for an adult bookstore, automotive, repair, bus terminal, to name just a few. Ms. Pierce said that this current and past rezoning that does not adhere to our plan is haphazard, and I feel the commercial creep process started a while back. The proposed rezoning and land use is not compatible with the character of our neighborhood, nor in harmony with our comprehensive plan. Please vote no and promote the health, safety, and well-being of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Bussey, B-U-S-S-E, 2005 Cool Springs Drive. I recently learned of the proposed rezoning request on this evening's agenda and have pursued a crash course in municipal government to learn how to oppose this rezoning in the most effective manner. One of the things I learned is that this council's work dramatically affects the lives of Bethel Park residents. An example is your recent approval of the $800,000 stormwater management project. I also learned that the council serves for a very nominal salary. So clearly, your service to the community is, I assume, based on a desire to provide for and protect the interests of Bethel Park residents. I want to thank you for your time, your effort, and your service to Bethel Park. I oppose this rezoning for all the reasons you've heard and will hear this evening. There's two more I'd like to mention. First, and it's been referred to earlier, there really is no need for another gas station. Within 1.5 miles of Cool Springs Drive, there are 6 gas stations, including one that serves food both on and off premises. And that's only 1/3 of a mile from where we are. In the documents that were provided to council, a Community and Environment Defense Service article has a section on assessing the need for a gas station. On average, the urban gas station draws customers from 1.5 mile area and needs about 4,500 people living or working in that area. The Cool Springs Circle is served by the 6 gas stations. So you multiply that, you get about 27,000 customers within 1.5 miles. 1.5 mile circle is about 7 square miles. Bethel Park has an average population density of about 2,800 people per square mile. So our circle would include about 20,000 people, or 7,000 less that is required to support 6 gas stations. If you consider Millennium Park, Lincoln School, the cemetery, and several churches in the area, that further reduces our population density. So clearly, we have enough gas stations and restaurants, as was pointed out, to serve the community and the surrounding area. And abandoned gas stations are a disaster environmentally. In addition, storing 20,000 gallons of gasoline 150 feet from a senior citizen's resident and from my home is absolute, in my opinion, neglect and insanity of the health and welfare of those people involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Dennis McCracken, M-C-C-R-A-C-K-E-N. I live at 2517 Highland Circle here in Bethel Park. I'm here this evening to voice my opposition to the proposal for rezoning at Cold Springs. My reasons are much the same that you've already heard tonight and also in the previous meeting. There are two, however, I think that are more practical in nature than I think could warrant mentioning once again. First off, I have several friends that either already live in the Cold Springs community or are in the process of building homes there. These folks have made a substantial investment in their property with the expectation that they would live in a primarily adult residential community. And construction of this gas station in close proximity to their homes is just not right. Secondly, as has already been mentioned numerous times, how many gas stations do we need? You know, we already have multiple ones in the area. You could walk to most of them, and adding another one, I think, just exacerbates the problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tim Enright. That's spelled E-N-R-I-G-H-T. This vote tonight's very important. The Planning and Zoning Commission is now working on Bethel Park's new long-range 10-year plan. If council votes yes, the Planning Commission will be forced to include this commercial rezoning and its effect on adjacent and similar parcels into the new plan. If council votes no on this rezoning proposal, however, the Planning Commission remains free to develop the new long-range plan in the best interests of Bethel Park. The owner of this land parcel, Penn Cove Group, will benefit financially from this rezoning. Since the current long-range plan does not allow for this parcel of land to be zoned commercial, it could be construed by some that rezoning this land as commercial before the completion of the new long-range plan is being done to benefit Penn Cove Group for both now and into the future. Because this is an ethically sensitive issue, I would like to commend Mr. Mowry for his strong sense of ethics. I've been told that Councilman Mowry will not be voting on this proposal tonight because he belongs to a group that has received contributions from Brian Shanahan, managing partner of Penn Cove Group. Councilman Mowry seems to recognize that Penn Cove Group is the main beneficiary of the rezoning proposal and seems to be clearly demonstrating that this vote should not be tainted by any hint of a conflict of interest. However, in May of 2018, Councilman Dixon ran for the Republican House of Representatives District 40. According to followthemoney.org, I would like to read you a list of some of his contributors. Brian Shanahan, Penn Cove Group Managing Partner. James Shanahan. Jeremy Kaler, Penn Cove Group Partner. Tara Trenny, Penn Cove Group Human Resources Manager. Amy Kumpf, Penn Cove Group Controller. Justin Kaler, Penn Cove Group Executive VP. And Kevin Riley, former Penn Cove Group President, now advising Penn Cove Group as Totem Realty, whose signs you see in the neighborhood. At a minimum, I think Mr. Dixon should recuse himself from tonight's vote. He should also recuse himself from voting on or discussing the new 10-year plan for Bethel Park. I believe he should have made council aware of these contributions, and he should have recused himself from discussing anything that affected Penn Cove Group in any way. I think this rezoning request should be turned down. I believe it is the only ethical way to proceed. We cannot have the citizens of Bethel Park believing that Penn Cove Group, a large landowner in Bethel Park, is able to influence the zoning of Bethel Park for the next 10 years for their financial gain, regardless of the negative impact on the Bethel Park residents. Thank you.
Mike Costanzo, C-O-S-T-A-N-Z-O. I live at 2017 Cool Springs Drive. We've been here like about 6 weeks. A couple weeks ago, first of all, this is an impressive a group of people here. I'm new to the area. You should probably have your senior class have to stay here and visually look at one of these things some night, because I think it's impressive, especially to allow us to speak here. But you know, you guys control Lady Justice. And Lady Justice is fickle, you know. She's black and white, and usually your hands are tied of what you can do. Today you can make a difference. You could bend the strict rule of law and say, do what's right. Now you can say, we bought this land, our homes, and we should have been aware of what could happen and not happen. Let the buyer beware, so to speak. But I don't know where you guys live. You guys, when you looked at your homes, never thought of a gas station coming that close to your house. Do something right here. A couple of weeks ago, Mr. Christian came up and said how he settled on Bethel Park. And so did we. We did our homework. We love this place too. In fact, we're older and we put our money up where our mouth is. As a collective, we invest over $6 million in that property down there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good taxes for you in the future and the whole bit. Do something right for a change. Mr. Christian, I thank you for your service and everything, but we did the same thing you did. We should have maybe been aware that this could happen, and it happened. Now, rectify it for us. Show us, stand up and make a good vote tonight. Do what's right.
Thank you.
Good evening. Michael Parrish with Gehrig, Rudder and Beam. I'm here on behalf of my client, KJ Bethel Park LLC, who is the owner of property immediately adjacent to the property which you are being asked to rezone tonight. KJ Bethel Park LLC operates the Senior Lifestyle Corporation Sheridan at Bethel Park. You're all familiar with it. What you're being asked here to do tonight is not a matter that is something you're required to do. It's a matter of something you are being asked to do as a matter of legislative grace. If you said no, that would certainly be an appropriate thing to vote. If you say yes, it may not be an appropriate way to vote. And it may not be an appropriate way to vote because, as other people have mentioned before, there is a concern that this involves illegal spot zoning. Illegal spot zoning is when you take a small parcel of land and change the zoning on it at the request of a property owner. And our courts do not look favorably on spot zoning. There's a natural boundary between the commercial and residential at this point in time. It's Cool Spring Drive. So you have a natural separating point. What you're being asked to do is have the commercial creep over Cool Spring Drive into the residential area opposite. Now, the next request you may very well get is for the property on the corner of Cold Spring, adjacent to this.
1 minute, please.
And what you're going to have happen is commercial creep of the residential zone. I note the Allegheny County Planning Department's comments to your rezoning request, in which they use the word haphazard. They also pointed out that it is not consistent with your comprehensive plan. You have already developed a comprehensive plan. You've already zoned this property. You're being asked by a single property owner to rezone this for reasons that are not sound land use planning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Patrick Clifford, CLI FFORD, on behalf of KJ Bethel Park. You know, I would just want to start off by saying we would have come forward and opposed this from day one had we ever gotten notice. You know, I'm not up here to opine on whether or not the notice requirements were followed, but I would ask that you consider amending your code to make sure that a nearby property owner doesn't go blind to this issue until the train has left the station. When we acquired and developed our site in conjunction with Senior Lifestyle Corporation, a key component of our negotiations was the existence of declarations of easements, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Now, I know you guys aren't party to that document, but one exists, and the purpose of us spending so much time negotiating that is to prohibit this sort of thing, incompatible land uses in very close proximity to our property. In fact, a prohibited use of that document, included in that document, is a gas station. Now, the applicant will tell you that this is not a gas station, but don't be fooled, it certainly is. There is an exception in that document for a Market District Express, which is their prototypical store is a 15,000 square foot grocery store and pharmacy that sells gasoline as an ancillary use. This is not a Market District Express by any stretch of the imagination. The reason why, again, that we spent so much time and legal fees negotiating that document is to prohibit these incompatible uses. Not to reiterate all of the potential negative consequences of this use.
1 minute, please.
You know, our residents are a fragile population. These are people seeking memory care, all sorts of other ailments. The reason for that document was to ensure that they could peacefully enjoy our community and their home. So I would urge you, if you're prepared to put the sales and gasoline tax revenue ahead of your constituents, the people in this room tonight, and many of those that are in our community and unable to make it, I would just say we're prepared to use any legal remedies we have to enforce our land use restriction and ensure that this negative use does not find a home at Cool Springs.
Thank you.
My name is Sheila Samraney. It's Samraney, and I live at 2037 Cool Springs Drive. Everybody has said everything that I had to say. I mean, I just want to tell the residents and my neighbors that you're wonderful. I mean, you guys researched. You didn't just get up and say, no, we don't want it. They made sense. Everything that could have been said, I think, has been said. And I just want to say I am very opposed as well to a gas station. I was the first one to live at Cool Springs. I lived there for a while by myself, and I am proud to be a resident with the rest of you. Thank you so much.
Everybody, thank you for your time tonight. My name is Chad Wissinger, and I represent Cool Springs and Brian Shanahan and the Kahlers.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Sure, it's Wissinger.
And your address?
I live in Peters, 121 Spring Meadows Drive.
Thank you.
So, I have a gas station at the top of my street, folks. Give me a minute. So listen, I came tonight not intending to speak, but to support the American Natural folks. Since a couple of other attorneys have spoken for a couple of minutes, I at least want to raise the issue with you because I think it's important. We sent a detailed letter to Bethel Park's engineer that outlined very clearly
the correct interpretation of the declarations, which I heard two attorneys misrepresent here tonight. And unfortunately, although I'm always sympathetic when I hear community voices come out in a situation like this, the documents that were prepared for this subdivision prior to any of those housing units of any stripe, whether it is the nursing home or Cool Springs Drive, very clearly and very unequivocally state that a Market District Express or similar operation could be located here. So the fundamental fact is the lawyers who are opposing this now were actively involved in drafting the documents that led to this proposal in the first place. And everybody who purchased those units by virtue of those documents being on file are part of their title search and have unequivocal notice of that fact.
Point of order, please. Give them an opportunity. I gave everybody here an opportunity.
So I simply want to make clear for the record that the declarations that apply to all of the properties that are at issue tonight have told everybody since inception that this was in fact a possibility and specifically called out as such. We've outlined that in detail for Ms. Graff. I don't want to read the letter into the record. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Just vote no, that's all. Just vote no.
Good evening, my name is Ryan Wotus, that's W-O-T-U-S. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Goldberg, Kamen, and Garvin. The address is 1806 Frick Building, that's Pittsburgh, PA 15219. I just briefly wanted to talk from a land planning perspective and from a zoning perspective. Council obviously had the opportunity to see our full presentation during the public hearing that occurred a month ago, so I don't want to reiterate the items that were addressed at that time, but I think it's important to discuss this really from what the actual application is requesting for, that being a rezoning of a parcel of property to the C2 zoning district. This is a request for a minor extension of an area that already has commercial zoning, or what I would consider a minor commercial corridor. That includes the Sheridan Service Senior Living Facility, which is, as indicated, is a conditional use in the C1, C2, C3, as well as other districts. It includes the Steel Cactus and Retail Center that's adjacent to it. This district includes the Lowe's Home Improvement, which it carries over across Baptist Road. It includes the Paramount Senior Living Facility. The Transmission Repair Shop and the Taylor Rental Center is also included within this existing C2 commercial corridor. In addition, this is adjacent to a commercial driving range facility, a large-scale indoor sports complex that also has a restaurant in there and a brew pub. What we're looking to do is extend that commercial corridor and create an infill spot that currently would align the commercial district to create that corridor, finish it off. There were 2 points or 2 items raised with respect to whether or not this is spot zoning. I'm not going to get into the extreme legalities of that, but I can tell you without a doubt definitively this would not be a spot zoning request or we're subject to a spot zone. In fact, it would be the opposite of that. That being you're actually filling in a portion of property that is zoned in the R3 to rezone it to C2 to match what is adjacent to it and what those uses actually are, that being commercial uses in nature. I think that the declaration was appropriately addressed. I don't believe that's before council for consideration, as that's a private document, more of a contractual, from a contractual nature. And in fact, the case law provides the same to say that that should not be subject to consideration for land use requests. So what I would say is that I believe our application follows sound land use and planning principles, and we would request that council approve the application.
Thank you very much. Are there any?
Hi, Andrea Feinstein from American Natural, 100 Ryan Court, Pittsburgh, PA, 15205.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Feinstein. Thank
you.
I appreciate everybody's time this evening. I've spent quite a lot of time with this community over the course of the last year listening to various constituents' points of view and concerns and trying to take them into account in the best way possible to be able to bring what we think is ultimately going to be a very beneficial development to the community. We are very excited about the way we will fit into this community. We've spent not only a lot of time with council and with the planning board, but as was earlier mentioned, we did reach out to many constituents in the community and held a large meeting. I apologize that everybody perhaps wasn't reached. We tried to reach as many people as we could.
Point of order, please. Please continue.
We reached out to the greater community via both social media, and we went house to house with the church and sat down with 100 people in the church, heard everybody's comments from the original meeting to please request that we find another alternative location from the corner of Baptist and Hamilton, and in fact was specifically requested to move this in the direction that we did because of its proximity to the existing commercial corridor, which we spent a lot of time and thought in so doing. I do appreciate that not everybody here has had exposure to our brand. We're a young brand and growing and very different in our opinion from the gas stations that may have been mentioned here previously. One of the major points of differentiation is we are not a 24-hour facility. We've talked about this in all of the meetings and planning boards thus far. That's something that we've agreed to make a condition of our use so that you can hold us to it and we can't change our minds or just have it be a shallow promise. It is something that I think addresses a couple of the concerns that were specifically raised about noise late at night and people's sleep getting disturbed. In addition, I think that the food and merchandise offering that we bring to the table is certainly at least at the quality of a Market District Express, if not better. We leave that for everybody to make their own determinations of. It is something that brings a higher quality, organic, very specialized use of food. And please, I did listen to, I'm trying to respond to many of your comments. I understand what they
Point of
were.
order, if you can just let her conclude her comments.
One last comment that I do want to address was some of the environmental concerns that were raised. There's two primary points I want to make sure everybody understands. One is the importance of the difference in the way that vapors are captured with onboard refueling vapor recovery in the current environment. It is so extensive that the EPA has actually taken away some other gas station level controls that were required.
If everybody would be quiet, we'd let her conclude her 3 minutes. Can you please conclude?
Lastly,
you've interrupted 3 or 4 times. Enough. Give her opportunity. We'll be here all night listening. I'm asking you for your patience. Let her speak as she let you speak. Can you please conclude?
Yes, in conclusion, we do use state-of-the-art, the highest level of environmental controls that exist and have a full-time environmental engineer on staff.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I would like to go to the agenda. And the first section will be the approval of the minutes. Mr. Hannon.
I move that we approve the public hearing minutes of June 24th, 2019.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the public hearing minutes of June 24th, 2019. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
Yes.
Council Magno.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Hannon. Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Mowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to planning and zoning and Mr. Dixon.
The first item on our agenda tonight is active Allegheny grant, a resolution to apply for an active Allegheny grant for an open streets event to be held in 2020.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we adopt resolution 7-22-19A to allow staff to apply for an active Allegheny grant in accordance with the Director of Engineering's correspondence dated July 18, 2019. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
Yes.
Council Magno.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Mowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Dixon.
Next item on the agenda is application number 2019-0248, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, portion of property lot and block number 316E10, rezoning, Bethel Park. Where are we at? Right here. Right here. I move that we approve application number 2019-0248, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineering's correspondence dated July 18, 2019.
Second.
There's a motion and second that we approve application number 2019-0248, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineers correspondence dated July 18, 2019. I just want to say a couple things. This isn't for or against, but number one, I'll be recusing myself as I did the last time in an application for rezoning came before us by this applicant. They made a donation to an organization that I belonged to probably 2 years ago. Just based on the last questions or comments by one of the solicitors about questioning the notification, and I'm not arguing the point from parliamentary procedure standpoint, I just want the public to know that when this application came out initially for the rezoning, by the MPC, which is Municipal Planning Code, there's a certain parameters you're supposed to notify. Municipality of Bethel Park, and that's, I believe, adjacent property owners. We expanded that to be a further distance away from the actual rezoning, and it was actually taken to Mr. Harrison and Mr. Dixon as far as we give the parameters or prerogative to the councilman that represents that district if they want to expand the notification further than what is actually required and what our policy is. So we increased that to roughly 300 letters that went out. On August 16, 2019, the Planning Commission workshop and voting meeting, 300 letters went out. And on May 22nd, 2019, for the public hearing, once again, 300 letters went out. In addition, because we didn't attach a map to the second notification, there was a third letter sent out to those same 300 people notifying of the meeting along with the map. That's just from a procedure standpoint. That's a policy and what we actually do. A lot of the discussion tonight regarding whether they're allowed to do this or not is a private matter, doesn't necessarily relate to the municipality. It's not anything it's in our zoning. It's something that's a private agreement, so we actually will not have any discussion or debate on that particular issue. If there is a challenge, that's between the two property owners. That's only for a clarification for the people here tonight and the people who may be watching this on television. So is there any other discussion on this item?
Mr. Mowry,
Mr. Campbell.
this is a tough decision. This is really a very, very tough decision. As the newest member on council, I wasn't privy to the deliberations that took place previously when the gas station was entertained at the junction of Hamilton Road and at Baptist. And as such, I really have no preconceived perceptions, notions, ideas of the machinations that folks have been going through, as well as the developers. But I, like my colleagues on council, have done our due diligence. We have studied this extensively over the last several weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks at least. We've looked at the evidence diligently. We've looked at it genuinely. We've looked at it truthfully, weighing the pros and cons of the rezoning. I have a few observations I'd like to share, just as a new member of council. I've heard the argument today from some of the proponents, we don't need another gas station. I've heard various things that there's 12 gas stations within 2 nautical miles. We heard tonight everywhere from 6 to 10 within a mile and a half. I drove the property a number of times. I've driven up and down Baptist Road all the time. I've lived in Bethel Park my whole life. Get-go at the entrance, South Park, is 1.6 miles away. The gas station down at Castee Village is 1 mile away. Sheets, if you take the dog leg, it's about, well, I didn't measure that one, but it's a little bit more cumbersome to get to. So the argument that we don't need another gas station didn't really resonate with me. Let the market dictate that. the traffic will be horrible. We've heard that also. I've poured over that data, the traffic studies, over and over again. I looked at the updated versions, that the intersection will be draconian. Some of the most recent data I've seen, there will be a delay of several seconds, 10 seconds. Now, hear me out, please. Hear me out, please. I had the chance to really look at the data. This is what was proposed to us. This is what an independent agency looked at. So hear me out. I wait longer than that when I watch a commercial on television, a lot longer. As a physician, as an internal medicine doctor, I studied and dissected the health study in detail from Columbia University that look at the gas emissions. I went back to the original article and read it. It was in October 4th, 2018. I drilled down the data like nobody's business. I spent time and time after time with this study to look at it. The bottom line, it's a flawed, biased study. That didn't really influence me. It was statistically insignificant data points that looked at 2 antiquated vent systems, and I'm not going to mention that the study was funded principally by a person who sells vapor recovery equipment. So that I was discounting. As a doc, as a hazmat medical officer for Region 13 in southwestern Pennsylvania, I do not deny the health consequences of volatilized hydrocarbons, but the risk here is vanishingly small. Vanishingly small, infinitesimally small. And I could look anybody square in the eye and show you the data to go against that. But I drove by the site today. I walked the street. I measured the distances. I watched the workers build this afternoon, the new buildings, the new houses that are going up on Cold Springs Drive. The vast majority of the people, the overwhelming number of people we've heard tonight, the ratio is 5 to 26 against versus those who are for. 5 to 26. 26 against, 5-4. That's been consistent with what I've heard over the last 6 weeks. I've had no less than people emailing me, contacting me by direct phone, sending me letters, sending information, coming up and bearing their opinion at municipal council. What a wonderful thing that is to see. This room so filled. To see everybody so interestedly. And if it's in your backyard, who isn't? Who are the people we've heard opposing tonight? Cold Springs and their neighbors. I get that. I really, truly get that. My tally has been consistent with what I've seen over the last few weeks. But those ones who live in Cold Springs, the folks who are here today, are strident. They're stalwart in their opposition. I've heard precious little from the developer or the proponents tonight over the last 6 weeks. Make no mistake, I am ardently pro-business and judiciously pro-development. But I'm also fervently pro-resident and pro-citizen. My ears are on the rail. I've been listening to the citizenry. I've been listening to what's been said tonight. That resonates with me more than anything else I've heard. And as such, with similar odds tonight, consistent with what I've heard over the last month and a half, I will be voting against rezoning. Council should serve at the will of the people.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. Mr. O'Brien.
Mr. Chairman, I've been wrestling with this issue also. I've read all the information. I listened to the calls I got and called some people back. I read all the information. I walked and stood in all perspectives. There's 2 separate issues here. One is the rezoning of the piece of property and the development, and also it's the rezoning from residential to C2. Now, each side of this issue makes claims, and regardless of where this ends up tonight, I believe this will be in a higher court, no matter what we say. This area that's developed around it reminds me of the new Strip District or the Southside Works, where you have a combination of businesses and restaurants. You have a restaurant and a bar in your neighborhood that's open till 2 a.m. with outside seating. You have businesses up on top with Cool Springs that entertain wonderful recreational issues and even state gymnastic meets. You have banquets. You're drawing lots of people in there no matter what happens. I mean, we can't make your street exactly like everyone wants this perfect street to be. This is a combination use of commercial and residential. The senior living facility, it has pickups in the morning, deliveries, trucks going in and out. And directly across the street, and all these properties around this parcel are C2. There are commercial development. Across the street is Lowe's, the transmission place, the Paramount. As you go down, the whole corridor on the left-hand side is also commercial, all the way down to the brewery. You have lights on the Millennium Field that are on till 11 o'clock at night. And then there's lights from Cool Springs Golf Course. It's on till 11 o'clock at night. I'm trying to understand how this is a normal residential district. It's not a standard residential district at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Anybody else?
Mr. Murray?
Mr. Harrison.
I just want to comment on a couple things that came up in the testimony. Number one, there's people speak to this meeting in the Presbyterian Church, and I've heard numbers like over 100, and I've read numbers that says 60 to 80. The number is not important. The reason I'm bringing it up is that I'm in my 46th year of being the councilman of the 5th Ward. Cool Springs is in the 5th Ward. I didn't get an invite to that meeting. I would think if they wanted to let people know all the ins and outs, that they would at least invite the council representative at the meeting. The second thing a gentleman mentioned, that the buyer beware. Well, I suggest that if the buyer did their homework, they would have found that this piece of property up for rezoning and all the adjacent property is zoned R3. So they would have every reason to believe that it's going to be a residential type development and not a filling station with a eating place. If you're familiar with the Cool Springs development as it exists today, I think you would agree it's a people-friendly type atmosphere. And to put this Sheets type installation right adjacent to the new Sheraton, I think is a gross disservice to not only the people who live there now, but also the people who bought into the Sheraton. And I checked into that. One of these days I may have to may not take care of myself. But the point I want to make, it's not inexpensive to get into there and pay the fee. And those folks that are in there, I don't want to wish Sheraton any bad luck, but if this gets approved, I wouldn't be surprised if someone wouldn't decide it's time to get out of there, because that's certainly not a people-friendly type installation right in the middle of a large single-family and people-oriented type facilities. So like I say, the Sheraton obviously has people that are 60 or older, that has special units for people who have mental problems and that type thing. And I can tell you part of their sales pitch is that look at this nice facility that you can look out over the driving range, and it's just a nice, pleasant atmosphere. And now you look out and you see a big filling station, and you also smell the gas and that type thing in the air. I think it's a positive, negative for rezoning this property.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Is there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
No.
Council Magno.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
No.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
No.
McLean.
Yes.
Mowry.
Abstain.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-3 with one abstention. Mr. Dixon.
Thanks for nothing.
Mr. Dixon.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of application.
Why don't you wait till the crowd disperses a little bit?
Okay, at this time, can we turn to the second item on the agenda, Mr. Dixon?
Next item is the approval of application number 2019-0247, American Natural Retail PA LLC. I move that we approve application number 2019-0247, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cold Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineering's correspondence dated July 18th, 2019.
Second. There's a motion, a second, that we approve application number 2019-0247, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineering correspondence dated July 18th, 2019. Is there any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
No.
Council Magno.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
No.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
No.
McLean.
Yes.
Mowry.
Abstain.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-3 with one abstention. Mr. Dixon.
Next item is approval of application number 2019-0348, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Land Development. I move that we approve application number 2019-0348, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineering's correspondence dated July 18, 2019.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, we approve application number 2019-0348, American Natural Retail PA LLC, Cool Springs Drive, in accordance with the Director of Engineering's correspondence dated July 18, 2019. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Campbell.
No.
Council Magno.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Gibbons.
No.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
No.
McLean.
Yes.
Mowry.
Abstain.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-3 with one abstention. Any additional items, Mr. Dixon?
That's all we have under planning and zoning this evening.
Hearing none.
Move
motion
adjourned.
adjourned. Second. All in favor? Meeting adjourned.